Midler from a distance. From a distance. Somebody's watching us, right? Hey, I have a kind of a treat here today. We don't do this very often, but because she's a local person and an author, and a terrific author at that, I've got Donna Mabry here. How you doing?
I am just fine, Scott. Thank you for having me.
Now, tell me a little bit about writing, because I have never understood. You know, I have some people in my family that have made some attempts at writing and so forth, but what makes a person want to write a book or write a short story or a poem or whatever? Is it just the need to get a story out, or what?
I think it is. You have people in your head that are clamoring to be spoken for, and different storylines. And sometimes I can see somebody standing on a street corner and something about them will provoke me to wondering how they came to be at that point in their life. And so I imagine a life for them. And sometimes I write it out in a book.
You know, it's interesting. I heard a man say one time that everybody has a story. And then there's this show that I've seen on BYU television called The Story Trek. And this man goes out and he just randomly picks people and he talks to them about their life. And they give him these great stories. And then he puts that together in this TV show. But you had an interesting upbringing, so I think that probably created some stories as well, right?
I did. Actually, that's where my best-selling book came from. My parents divorced when I was 3, and my mother took me to live with her mother. And then on the weekends and holidays, I was at my father's house. So I was literally raised by 2 grandmothers. I didn't see much of my mother. First memory of her is I'm 7 or 8. So I'm a grandma's girl, and my book Maud is the story of my grandmother's life, because when I was sleeping with her, she would talk, and she would tell me different things about her life, about her childhood, how she was orphaned when she was 8 and raised by a sister and married at 14, and a mother at 15, and a widow at 16.
Wow.
And that was just the beginning. She had a remarkable life. It's really like a 70-year span of American history from the woman's point of view.
So do you see everybody as a story?
Almost everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do believe that everybody has a story. Sometimes people tell me, you know, I could write this great thing, but I'm so afraid that it's too much for me.
Yeah.
And generally I say, just think about if you were talking to me and you were telling me the worst thing that ever happened to you. Tell me that story through your computer. And then maybe the next time you think you're ready to write something, tell me about the best thing that ever happened to you. And don't think about a book. Think about a series of events that other people might find interesting, and just keep adding them together.
All right. Well, you're an East Side girl from Detroit, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Grew up within walking distance of Belle Isle.
And you wrote some short stories and poems when you were in high school.
I took creative writing all 3 years of high school, and I actually had some stories and poems published at the time.
And then you took a 50-year hiatus.
Well, I got married, and back then that was a woman's job, unless you had money for an education, and I had no money to go to school. I had to earn a living. So it was remarkable in my family that I graduated from high school. That was a deal. And wrote letters in between. But then I came to Vegas. I was a seamstress. I always made clothing. And then when we moved to Florida from Michigan in 78, I started working at the local theater and making costumes, which is very different from making clothing.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do that. And then I first came to Vegas to make costumes.
And so you're making costumes in Vegas,
right? And
you're hearing all these stories in the back with the girls, right?
Yes.
And that told you, you know what, I need to put some of this on pages.
Well, at first I thought somebody could write a book about this, and then the right next thing through my head was, why don't you try? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You spend some time.
Yeah.
And it was so easy that it was shocking.
Yeah.
But I didn't start with fictional people. I started with real people. My daughter is the leading lady. She was an actor for 15 years, and so I made her the foundation of that story. And now she won't tell me anything private anymore because I put it all in books.
We're talking to Donna Mabry, an author, a Las Vegas author, but has written many, many books. And we're going to talk about some of those and also talk about her latest book here in just a moment on the Jewel. This is Billy Joel. Billy Joel and I Love You Just the Way You Are. We're talking to Donna Mabry, who is a well-known author and a Las Vegan. And we didn't bring this up before, but you wrote your first book at what age?
60.
60 years of age.
It ain't over till it's over.
That's right. So, people say to me all the time they have always wanted to do this or they wanted to do that. And I always say, well, what's stopping you? And it certainly isn't age, is it?
No, I don't want to be a jockey. So I haven't any physical limitations. Right now, all I want to do is write my books, and I paint pictures too.
Oh, do you? You do art as well?
Yes.
So you wrote The Last Two Aces in Las Vegas.
Right.
Which is very different from The Cabin, right?
Yes. I have 6 Las Vegas murder mysteries. I have some independent mysteries and 1 comedy, that would be Conversations with Skip, and a series of American historicals.
Wait, Conversations with Skip, that's an interesting book because isn't that Skip's a dog, right?
He's a dog.
Yeah.
Yes. He's a dog who doesn't talk, but he does communicate exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah. And dogs know a lot.
And he's a Las Vegas dog.
Is he?
He's from Las Vegas, yes.
Well, he's hating the summers then.
And my my historicals, I call them Westerns from the women's point of view.
Uh-huh.
Because if you read Westerns and see Western movies, it's all men, 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 men. But the women were there too, and I think their stories deserve to be told.
And the one that everyone's talking about now is Maud.
Maud, the true story of my grandmother's life. And I gleaned that from the nights I slept with her, and she talked about her life. And she talked about her childhood, and some of the things that are in the book, I did not hear from her until after I was a married woman.
Let me ask you something now. You said that she was widowed at 16. Was that because of the First World War or something?
No.
Okay.
That was an accident. And my grandfather was her second husband.
Ah, okay.
And Maud, I really wrote it thinking nobody but the family would read it. But it just mushroomed out into the Amazon universe, and it's been recorded on audio and translated into German and Italian and Russian.
Wow.
And being translated into Slovakian.
Wow.
And
it's a different world.
It is. And being used in women's studies at the University of Wisconsin. Because it really is a history lesson.
That's terrific. All right, Maud, that's the name of the book. If you want to find it, it's on Amazon. It's on the bestseller list. You won't have any trouble finding it. But Donna Mabry.
Yeah, Maud is the Kindle Direct Publishing bestseller of all time.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. To think you wrote your first, you waited till you were 60 to write that first book.
I know. They were all backed up in my head. Well, here's how it happened that I wrote the second one. The first book, I had a regular publisher, but they wanted me to cut 20,000 words.
Ah.
So instead of condensing the story, I just took this one character out. And then I had 20,000 words and a very interesting character, and that became the foundation for the second book. And it just snowballed from there.
Interesting. Well, the life of an author is interesting, and I hope you just keep writing and writing and writing. So everyone talks about this book, Maud, and anybody who wants to really know what life was like years ago and the hardships that so many people endured, and
yes.
And what people had to do to make it work.
Yes.
It's a good lesson for everybody.
Yeah, finding their dinner in a hen's nest in the bushes by the side of the road.
Right.
At one point.
And walking around picking up asparagus. Things like
No
that.
asparagus.
Hey, listen, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Donna Mabry, don't miss this book or any of her others. Maud is the latest one, and everyone's talking about it. Thanks for being here.